So the painting's all done, 2 coats, dashboard's all mounted again, controls put back, so today it's time to do the carpet. So I've got some cardboard from a hardware store that I'm going to use as a template, and I'm going to investigate coming up along here on these sides. I'm not sure how easy that's going to be. There's quite a few folds to get the carpet to run along, so I'll wait and see whether that's actually something that will be able to work. Let's see if this will get focus again. There we go. Certainly will be running along the bottom, and then at some point I might paint inside these boxes as well, or look to put the carpet inside them as well, just a loose piece to sit on the bottom, help with vibration and noise. When you've got the seats off, obviously you can see inside there, and you can still see the old elements, so it's quite finicky to get in there and paint around all the edges. So when you've got the boat set up with the carpet and the seats, you won't see that anymore. So this area's all done as well. 2 heavy coats in there, that's looking a lot cleaner. Need to clean the bottom of the oil box today and mount the battery holder back in. I'll do all that once I've done the carpet, just to make sure that I've got all the measurements right. I did consider folding the carpet down to that 2nd level, but that's just going to become a water soak. Dropped the bilge last night, piece of it cracked off, so we're getting a new one of those. And then as you can see, I've kept a wide area at the back which will allow the water to run down this channel and then down to the bilge. So I'll keep the carpet away from the back wall to give it a clean run down into the bilge area without getting the carpet soaked. Alright, I'm going to go clean up the garage and get ready to start making up the templates. Taking some measurements from the floor here and just doing a bit of a drawing on a piece of paper that I'll use then to start actually getting a feel for how this is going to lay out with the pieces of cardboard I've got. It's going to be a bit of a jigsaw. I've got quite a lot of cardboard, but the first one I need to do is pretty much 140 by 140, and this has got some width but doesn't have enough depth, so I'm probably going to need to cut some off the side to make it work. We will we'll start using some masking tape and starting to create the form. As I say, I think we've got enough cardboard, but it's just none of its particularly useful shape, certainly for this back part of the boat. That long thin piece I'm going to use to come up the middle of the boat, and then that square bit over there I'm going to use to do that front triangular piece. So it's just this here that needs to get turned into that right shape. Alright, so the template is complete. I'm going to go flat down the bottom there for now. That actually sits better when you're standing on it. It's just risen up a bit now, but that'll be fine once it's laid. Channel through here. I'm going to make sure that when I come around here I leave a little bit so that I can curve around the edges. And then around the back here as well. Cut around the ski pole mount, and I've left a bit at the back there so that the water can drain. I'm going to go a little bit extra on all the sides. Down the edges here, which is the hardest part to get flush, it actually doesn't matter, because there's going to be a very thick bracket, the vinyl board that sits along the outside of this that is used for storage, so you're not going to be seeing where that carpet meets anyway. But overall it's worked, so it's time to get this out. And then the other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to trace this on the right side. This is not symmetrical, so it's not a case of tracing it on the flipping it over. You've got to make sure that you're going to get it on the right side when you bring it in. So I'm going to do the top, mark that this is the top, and then I might cut it out on the back, draw the lines on the back of the carpet, but I'm going to make sure I know what's the top so that we make sure that we get it round the right way. Alright, so here's the template sitting on the carpet. It was just slightly longer than 3 meters, I think, so yeah, it's quite a lot of carpet left over in terms of width. That's cool, it'll give me plenty to make mats with. I am going to draw directly on top, on the exposed side. The reason for that is I'd quite like to get some symmetry with these lines. So here I can actually see where the mould sits on those lines, so I can get everything adjusted and get it all true and square. If you do it on the back, you can kind of see it on the back. Not really enough to my liking, so I'm going to stick with keeping it on the top, marking around, getting everything straight and true, and just using a dark vivid, or maybe even some chalk. I might try chalk actually, which will give it a good mark and then easily come off, just on some key points as we go around and cut it. But other than that, everything else is looking pretty good. It's a very pliable mat, which is good. And then we'll do a test fit out in the boat before we start gluing it down. Alright, excuse the rodents. This has been cut now. It was pretty easy. I used a Stanley knife, tried scissors first. If the scissors weren't working at all well, used a Stanley knife, put my hand underneath, lifted the carpet up and dragged the Stanley knife through using the back of the blade, not the front, and it just went through really easily. So we've got the cuts, everything's nice and square. I've left a bit here on the back and then I still need to cut around there. I'm going to go and do that when I mount it in the boat just to get really accurate with my lining up. But let's go see what this looks like in the boat. We've got it laid in. I've left a bit too much on either side, which is good. I can come in now and cut around it. Same here, a little bit too much, which is what you want. Easier to cut it off than try and add it back on again. If I shut my feet around, you can see that things do still meet up here. It's just a case of getting it all to fit. And bit to trim here. Definitely need to trim around the edges there, which is good. And then that will need a bit of a straightening up. But other than that, that's all looking good as well. And I've definitely got enough to continue coming around the sides, which I'm going to do with a separate piece. So overall, looking good. Going to get the blade and start cleaning up all these edges so that this will start fitting a bit more snugly. Area at the back looking good. This is going to sit a bit flatter on either side once I push that down, which I'll cut around soon. It's looking good as well. So all in all, pretty happy. Alright, I've trimmed all the edges, everything's looking good. A little bit hard down some of these side elements here, but again, when I put those pieces on to cover those edges, it'll be fine. Bit tricky, it gets slightly wider down the back versus up here, so you can't run a complete line all the way down. I've tried trimming it, very rough over there. I shunt the carpet over that side, it looks okay. This side is still a bit cleaner, but again, once I put those boards on, that's all marked and covered. So that's all good. Okay, up front all looking good as well. So let's just, I'm going to get this covered. It's very hot, so I'm going to try and get an umbrella into here, get it covered. It's probably about 26 degrees at the moment, so pretty warm. Get this covered with an umbrella to cool down, and then I'm going to start with my ADOS F2, 1 litre of glue and brush. I'm actually going to start just painting the back and painting the carpet on the back, and then laying that, coming over, doing this element here by rolling it back, and then getting up the front and putting that down as well. And that way I'll be able to do it in stages, starting with the largest piece at the back. And then I'll leave it. Got to spray the surrounds and the seats, put them in, and then we're looking good. And then obviously the last bit is to sort this area out here. I'm only going to do that once it's all glued down, because otherwise I'm going to be not getting it accurate. Once it's all bedded down, I can easily cut around that to get it looking right. And even if I need to cut a bit off here, I can too. Alrighty. Alright, so here we go with the gluing. I'm using ADOS F2. It's pretty warm today, so we'll see if we can get all this on before it dries. So contact adhesive, so I'm going to be doing both the ground and the carpet with my bristles, my brushes. Alright, so the carpet's in. Working in this heat, that glue was drying very quickly. So there was no opportunity to even slide or relay once you'd put something down. So got it pretty square, pretty much bang on first time round. Again, we've got a bit of a gap here which we had before. That's going to be covered by the boards that run along the side. I've said that about 1,000 times, so we're over that. Everything else is looking pretty good. Been able to cut around that as well after I laid everything, which was good. Definitely way to do it, so you can get it looking right up sides. This stuff, this F2 just sticks straight away, so you can push it down and you immediately feel it grip. There's no need to go back and reclamp everything. I just sort of wandered around with my feet and gave everything a bit of a press down. That front's looking really good as well. It's currently yellow, but I've been told it dries clear, so if there's anywhere where it shows up again, I will then go and repaint. Looks a bit skewy at that angle up there, but that's actually just the curve of the fiberglass. And again, if I do these sides, which I'm thinking I'm going to do, often keep your foot on this right hand ledge along here, that will increase the carpeted area as well. There's tons of carpet left, so definitely enough to put in these buckets on the side, make those removable, and look forward to this drying clear and a nice comfy boat.